Have you ever wondered why the people who hurt you the most seem to circle back the moment you stop chasing them? Why narcissists and toxic individuals suddenly become interested when you go silent? Why your phone starts buzzing with messages from them the exact moment you decide you're done? It's not a coincidence, it's not magic, it's psychology. More specifically, the psychology of silence that some know about but very few truly understand and use to their advantage. I'll decode the hidden power behind strategic silence and absence, and how it can completely transform you from feeling like a victim that is always chasing something that seems just out of your reach, to being empowered and always getting what you want. The freedom you've been craving from toxic relationships and the narcissist's web of deceit starts now. Let's dive into how to truly understand and use silence and your absence to get everything you want and be the one in control. Now first, I want you to picture yourself relaxed, doing something you love to do with your phone on silent and completely present in your own life. You feel calm and happy. Your mind is clear. You're no longer waiting for their text, analyzing their words, or walking on eggshells around their emotions or reactions. This version of you is who you can be today, right now. And these silence and absence strategies are the bridge that will get you there. There's something almost supernatural about what happens when you stop being available to those who took you for granted. They don't just notice, they become obsessed. But to understand why, we need to look at what's happening in both your brain and theirs. When you've been in a toxic relationship, your brain has literally been rewired through what neuroscientists call trauma bonding. This isn't your fault. It's how the human brain protects itself in threatening situations. Your nervous system has been hijacked by cycles of stress and relief, creating neural pathways that make you crave the very source of your pain. Here's the fascinating part. The same neurochemical processes that created your trauma bond also explain why your absence becomes so powerful. In your brain, dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and reward seeking, has been conditioned to spike during moments of reconciliation after conflict. This is why make-up moments feel so intense and addictive. But here's what they never expected. Your absence creates a void they didn't know existed. And suddenly the person who claimed you were too much is now desperate to have you back. Because the anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain that processes emotional pain, literally experiences rejection the same way it experiences physical pain. When you withdraw your presence, their brain interprets this as a genuine threat to survival. This is why their behavior becomes so erratic, so desperate, so completely out of proportion to the situation. And here's the crucial part. This isn't about them anymore. This is about you recognizing your own power and worth. When you've been in a toxic relationship or suffered narcissistic abuse, you've been conditioned to believe that your value lies in how available you are, how much you give, how much you tolerate. But trauma bonding works in reverse too. The moment you withdraw that constant supply of attention, validation, and energy, a profound power shift occurs. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's the same principle that makes gambling addictive. When you were always available, always responding, always there, you became predictable. Predictable becomes associated with being taken for granted. But when you disappear, you become a variable reward, and the human brain is wired to obsess over what it can't control or predict. The world-renowned psychologist and behaviorist B.F. Skinner's research on operant conditioning showed us that intermittent reinforcement creates the strongest behavioral responses. Think about slot machines. They don't pay out every time, but that unpredictability makes them irresistible. You've accidentally been providing constant reinforcement, which actually weakens their desire for you. Think about your own experience. When did they treat you best? Probably right after you threatened to leave, right after a big fight, right after they thought they might lose you. That wasn't love, that was their addiction to control being triggered. And research on romantic attachment using MRI brain scans further proves this by showing that when someone becomes unavailable, the brain's reward system goes into overdrive. The same regions that activate during cocaine addiction light up when we're pursuing someone who's withdrawn their attention. So what happens in their mind when you go silent, whether they show you right away or not, is panic. Not because they love you, but because they've lost control of the narrative. The power dynamic has shifted, and now you hold the power. Because toxic people and narcissists need your reactions to fuel their sense of power and control. Your anger proves they can still affect you. Your tears prove they still matter. Your explanations prove you're still playing their game, but when you're silent, when you withdraw, you change the game entirely. Now, not only do you have your power back, now you are the one in control and the one with the power. Now let's keep the power and control and use it to your advantage. Here is what narcissists and toxic people don't want you to know. They have what is called narcissistic supply dependency, which means they require constant validation, attention, and emotional reactions to regulate their own internal emotional state. They don't want you to know this because if you knew this, you would immediately know how powerful you are and how much they need you. This is why, when you remove yourself as a source of supply, their entire being, their mind and body goes into crisis mode. This is when you'll see what psychologists call extinction burst behavior. Just like a laboratory rat that's been trained to press a lever for food will press it frantically when the food stops coming. A person with narcissistic traits will escalate their behavior when their usual tactics stop working, and the more you withdraw, the more you dismantle them. Their mind will become completely occupied with thoughts of you, even if they are with someone else, which they probably are because they need constant supply. But they will continue to obsessively think about you because you withdrew, because they lost that sense of power, control, and validation you once gave them. They can't let it go. In psychology, this is called narcissistic annihilation, which means you made them crumble and you have all the power. Even if it doesn't feel like it because you might still be hurting from how they treated you. Never forget, your silence and absence has given you all the power and control. In a desperate attempt to get you back, they might start love-bombing you again through sudden declarations of change, promises of therapy, gifts, or romantic gestures. And if that doesn't work, then you will see their rage. The rage will come in the form of false accusations, insults, threats, or attempts to destroy your reputation. You might see manipulation through others, flying monkeys, fake emergencies, or using children or mutual friends as messengers. But here's what's really happening neurologically. Their prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part of their brain, is being overwhelmed by their limbic system, the emotional brain. They're literally in fight or flight mode, and you are both the threat and the solution they're desperately seeking. When you stop defending yourself, stop explaining your boundaries, stop trying to make them understand, you rob them of their favorite weapon, your emotional dysregulation. And this is where your real healing begins. Strategic absence isn't just about affecting them. It's about reclaiming yourself. Every time you don't respond to that manipulative text, every time you don't engage with their provocation, every time you choose your peace over their chaos, you're literally rewiring your own nervous system. The polyvagal theory explains how our autonomic nervous system responds to perceived threats. In toxic relationships, your nervous system has been stuck in chronic states of hypervigilance or shutdown. But strategic absence allows your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve that regulates your nervous system, to begin healing. When you consistently choose to not engage in any way with these people, your heart rate variability improves, your digestion normalizes, your sleep patterns stabilize. You're literally teaching your body that you're safe. Here's what this feels like in your body. At first, you might experience what therapists call somatic withdrawal. Your body has become addicted to the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, that toxic relationships create. You might feel anxious, empty, or even physically ill when you first go silent. This is normal. This is your nervous system detoxing from chronic stress. But as you maintain your boundaries, something beautiful happens. You start experiencing what researchers call neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to form new neural pathways. The pathways that once led to trauma responses begin to weaken, while new pathways supporting self-worth and emotional regulation grow stronger. You're teaching your brain that you don't need external validation to feel whole. You're proving to yourself that you can survive their disapproval, their anger, their attempts to pull you back into the dysfunction. This is where trauma recovery transmutes into self-empowerment. Silence is not passive. It's the most active choice you can make. In neuroscience, there's a concept called cognitive load theory. Every time you engage with toxic behavior, you're using precious mental resources that could be directed toward your healing and growth. Dr. Daniel Siegel's research on brain function shows us that when we practice intentional non-reactivity, we strengthen the insula, the part of our brain responsible for interoceptive awareness or knowing what's happening inside our own bodies. This is crucial for trauma recovery because trauma disconnects us from our internal experience. Withdrawing from the chaos reconnects us with safety, stability, and peace. Here's how your brain and nervous system is rewired to your benefit when you withdraw from toxic people and situations. 1. It breaks the trauma cycle. Toxic relationships operate on what psychologists call the drama triangle, which is the victim, which is the one that gets blamed, the persecutor, the one blaming and never taking responsibility, and the rescuer, the one who tries to rescue the victim or both people. This can be an endless, toxic cycle. Your silence removes you out of all three positions entirely. 2. It activates their attachment wounds. Most toxic individuals have avoided or disorganized attachment patterns from their own childhood trauma. Your absence triggers their deepest fear of abandonment, but unlike in childhood, they now have to face it without someone to blame or control. 3. It forces reality confrontation. When you're not there to react, regulate, or rescue them, they're forced to sit with the consequences of their own behavior. This is terrifying for someone who's spent their life avoiding accountability. 4. It creates cognitive dissonance. They have to reconcile their narrative that you were worthless with the reality that they're desperately trying to get you back. This internal conflict is psychologically exhausting for them, but let's be honest, this process is uncomfortable for you too. You'll feel guilty for not responding. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh. You'll second-guess yourself when they suddenly become the person you always wanted them to be. This discomfort is normal. You've been programmed to prioritize their emotions over your own well-being. Breaking that programming feels wrong at first because it goes against everything you've been conditioned to believe about your role in relationships. But becoming that empowered and peaceful person you visualized at the beginning of this video is what you're claiming now. Here are the steps that will help you reclaim your power immediately. Some phases might be temporarily uncomfortable, but permanent freedom is worth it. You are worth it. First, the withdrawal phase. Your nervous system is in revolt. You might experience anxiety, guilt, or even physical symptoms like headaches or insomnia. This is your body detoxing from chronic stress hormones. You're grieving not just the relationship, but the version of yourself who believed love meant suffering. Next, the clarity phase. Your mind starts to clear. You begin noticing patterns you couldn't see before. The fog of gaslighting lifts, and you start trusting your own perceptions again. This is your prefrontal cortex coming back online after being suppressed by chronic stress. Then, the strength phase. You start feeling genuinely indifferent to their attempts to re-engage. This isn't numbness. It's emotional freedom. You're no longer reactive because you're no longer invested in controlling their behavior or feelings. And finally, the integration phase. You begin attracting different types of people and opportunities. Your energy, no longer depleted by toxic dynamics, becomes available for creativity, growth, and genuine connections. You've literally changed your energetic frequency. Here's the truth they never wanted you to know. Your worth isn't determined by how much someone else wants you. Your value isn't measured by how much drama you can tolerate. Your love isn't proven by how much abuse you can endure. When you master strategic absence, something remarkable happens. You stop being a reactor and become a conscious creator of your own experience. You stop giving your power away to people who never deserved it in the first place. Here are advanced strategies for maintaining your power. The Grey Rock Method 2.0. If complete no contact isn't possible, shared children, workplace, etc., become so unremarkable in your responses that you become boring to them. One-word answers, delayed responses, no emotional content whatsoever. Do an energy audit. Before any interaction, ask yourself, will this exchange give me energy or drain it? Your energy is your most precious resource. Guard it like your life depends on it, because your quality of life absolutely does. The 24-hour rule: never respond to their emotional manipulation or so-called emergency immediately. Wait 24 hours. Often you'll find that the urgent crisis they presented resolves itself when you don't rush to fix it. Somatic boundaries. Pay attention to your body's signals. If you feel your heart racing, your stomach dropping, or tension in your shoulders when you see their name on your phone, that's your nervous system telling you this person is not safe for you. Listen to this inner knowledge and continue to withdraw your energy from them. Always remember, the people who are meant to be in your life will respect your boundaries. They won't punish you for having standards. They won't make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. And the toxic ones, they'll reveal themselves through their reaction to your unavailability. They'll call you selfish, distant, changed. They'll try to guilt you back into the old dynamic. This isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something right, and that you've created a new, better reality for yourself. As you continue this journey, you'll notice that your entire life begins to shift. You'll attract different people, create different opportunities, and most importantly, you'll develop an unshakable sense of self that no one can manipulate or control. Your absence from toxic dynamics creates space for genuine connections to emerge. Your silence in the face of manipulation creates room for your authentic voice to be heard. Your strategic withdrawal from chaos creates the foundation for lasting peace. Research on self-compassion shows us that when we stop seeking external validation and start cultivating internal kindness, our overall life satisfaction increases dramatically. We become less dependent on others' approval and more connected to our own values and desires. Right now, you have a choice. You can continue being available to people who drain your energy, manipulate your emotions, and take your presence for granted. Or you can choose yourself. You can choose your healing. You can choose to break the cycle. The power of strategic absence isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about recognizing your own worth and protecting it fiercely. It's about understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, my course, Healing and Thriving After Toxic Relationships, will give you the tools, strategies, and support you need to not just survive, but thrive after narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. You don't have to do this alone. Click the link in the description and start your transformation today. You deserve a life free from manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional chaos. Your healing starts now. So I want to know, are you ready to embrace the power of strategic absence? Are you willing to choose your peace over their approval? Are you prepared to discover who you really are when you're not constantly trying to fix, please, or save someone else? Drop a comment below and let me know. What's one thing you're going to stop being available for today? Let's support each other in this journey of reclaiming our power. Remember, your absence from their chaos is your presence in your own life. and that's where the real magic happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into building unbreakable boundaries that protect your energy and your peace.